Well, guys, I've decided to keep things going on the DCEU train and the Snyder train by reviewing Batman v Superman. Once again, I couldn't really come up with a good intro. Hold on. Welcome to my review of Batman v Superman, the Ultimate Edition. This movie had a Rotten Tomatoes critic score of 29%, and they had a user review score of 63%, so, let's get into what I might think. The first thing that works about this movie for me is Batman. Ben Affleck makes a great Batman, I can't lie, but beyond just the casting of it, I thought that the Batman in this universe had so much more compelling elements to him that I wanted to see more of. I felt almost cheated that we didn't get, a Ben Affleck Batman movie. For me, him branding criminals and killing people isn't so much of a problem as it is a mystery to explore. I want to see what got Batman there. Obviously it's the Frank Miller Batman, and so a lot of comic fans will kind of have some idea of what we're seeing, but a lot of people aren't used to seeing Batman just straight up kill people. So, yeah, I kind of want to explore how you get to that point. But beyond that, also Alfred. His relationship with him, Alfred is elevated beyond just a butler. He's a GQ-looking, tank-building badass, but he still has that fatherly, sarcastic relationship with Bruce Wayne. There's this one scene that really encapsulates that for me.
I don't deserve you, Alfred.
No, sir, you don't.
Just the history and disappointment in his voice alone in that scene makes me pine for what could have been. I wish. The second thing that worked about this movie for me is just the premise. Hero versus hero is a concept that has been around for a long time in comic book history. Comic book fans, we want to see heroes duking it out. Who's stronger than who? Batman fanatics will say, oh, how much prep time does he have? And Superman fanatics will say, obviously you're just going to laser beam him right in the face. But beyond that, you've got all these sort of mashups throughout history. You look at Civil War, they gave us all the mashups. So it's just it was exciting to watch this movie just for the anticipation of hero versus hero. The third thing that works about this movie, and I said it in my Justice League review as well, is just Zack Snyder's tone. I think over the years I've come to appreciate it. I'm a huge MCU fanboy. I love the MCU. I'm Marvel all the way. But when you go to the movies and you see a DC movie, it's actually nice to have kind of a different tone. If I want to see an MCU movie, I'll go see an MCU movie. And this movie has this very dark, serious tone. And because of that, it sort of elevates the stakes a little bit in the movie. Everything seems a little bit more real and a little bit more gritty. Unfortunately, it doesn't save this movie from itself, but it is, for me, a welcome respite from the usual quippy, colorful MCU. That about wraps up what works for me about this movie. Let's talk about what doesn't work. First thing that doesn't work for me in this movie, and I've said it a million times, if you've watched even 3 of my videos, then you know what I'm going to say. It's the villains, okay? It's always the villains. Spend more time telling me why they're villains, why they're doing bad things. I just want to know. Why is Lex Luthor crazy? Okay, they don't really tell you. They said he kind of had an abusive father, and it made him feel inferior, and that's why he wants to kill these super beings, but that's a throwaway line. It's not even that compelling or believable. So they just throw this guy at you who's rich, smart, and insane, and wants to kill Superman. And we're supposed to believe that Lex Luthor's power is that he's this powerful, extremely intelligent human who is good at manipulating things. And yet, the whole plot of him trying to get Batman and Superman to kill each other completely falls flat in hilariously quickly, and it relies on so many random occurrences. And it also relies on him just magically discovering how to create Doomsday. Like, if that didn't happen, if he didn't stumble upon the ship and learn how to create Doomsday from the ship, the whole movie would have fallen apart right when Superman says, "Save Martha." And it's over. So you were expected to believe this guy is controlling everything when he's really not in control of basically anything. Also, they basically reduced Lex Luthor, who is this powerful, smart businessman who has a history with Superman, and they reduced him to an insane Mark Zuckerberg. That's just not the move. The second thing that doesn't work about this movie for me is that it's a stretch. This movie constantly asks you to believe in situations it did not do a good job setting up. The whole crux of this movie is Batman versus Superman. And as far as Batman goes, you're telling me that the world's greatest detective can't see that Lex Luthor is trying to pit them against each other. He knows that Lex Luthor is in possession of the only thing that can kill Superman, and he's just completely oblivious to this whole subplot. It's not even that good of a scheme, to be honest. But also, you're telling me that a guy who has no problem killing criminals and branding criminals, you're telling me he doesn't understand that you can't save everybody and that sometimes you have to make a really hard decision as a superhero? You know, and then on the Superman side, they have this whole somewhat flimsy subplot of him as Clark Kent investigating Batman's actions. But by the time Superman even confronts Batman, Superman is already done having beef with Batman. He's just going because his mom is in trouble. And then when they work things out, Superman's immediately cool with Batman. Doesn't care about all that other stuff he looked into at all. And you know, let's talk about Martha.
Find him! Save Martha!
For me, I completely understand, and I kind of like where they were going with that moment. You know, in this moment of rage, Batman, a jaded, cynical Batman, is about to kill this hero who he was made to believe is somehow corrupt or dangerous. He's about to kill him, and then in that moment, when he says his mother's name, he realizes Superman is human. He's a living being, and Batman remembers his own values. That's totally compelling, and it can totally happen without their mothers having the same name. All Superman had to say in that same moment is just, "Kill me, but please save my mom." That's it. And it's the same scene, except for it doesn't become a meme. The last thing that doesn't work about this movie for me, and it's a prime offender of a bad superhero movie, is just that it's boring. You know, there are definitely parts of it that are compelling, but it takes a full hour of a 3-hour movie to get to any real action scenes, which, if you're going to have a movie with pretty bad writing and world building, at least give me something fun to watch. And like I said, there are parts of it that are fun to watch, but for the most part, it feels long to watch, and it's pretty boring. And I think the other prime offender that makes it that way, makes it feel super clunky, is they have all of these subplots, okay? Because it's not just Batman versus Superman. It's Batman versus Superman. It's Batman and his relationship with Lois. It's Lois versus people that hate Superman. It's Lex Luthor versus the government. It's Lex Luthor versus Batman and Superman. It's Lex Luthor finding the way to create Doomsday. And then there's all those super flimsy subplots that try to introduce the rest of the Justice League. Like, such a joke, such a throwaway thing. The way they bring Wonder Woman into this movie is just an affront to Wonder Woman. I mean, it's just like, oh, she's at the same party for some reason. You've got the Batman origin story in there too. You know, there's all of these subplots. Like, is Batman versus Superman not good enough for you? Like, give me just that. I can take a whole movie of you setting up why they're gonna fight, and then like a whole hour of the movie on them fighting. But instead, they tried to just cram as much as they could into this movie, and it was the same problem with the original cut of the Justice League. You know, that's why the new cut was 4 hours long, because there's a lot there that could have probably been other movies, but Warner Brothers wanted to get those DCEU movies out and start competing with MCU. And once again, fans suffered. So who was right? The critics or the users? I feel like I do this every video where the last thing I said was completely tearing this movie a new one, and then I say, actually, it's not that bad. But I think I just like to like movies, and as much as I love talking shit about bad movies, I enjoy watching them. And this movie, it has all these stupid subplots, but there's the skeleton of something that works here. Like I said, a compelling Batman. I like Henry Cavill's Superman. I do. And to be honest, there are still plenty of moments in this movie that I emotionally connected with. When he saves Batman's mother, and they're all three of them are fighting Doomsday together. When Superman dies, these are all moments that still landed for me emotionally. The problem is they were just very far into a bad 3-hour movie. So I'm gonna have to agree with the users. This was a mess of a movie with little glowing green gems hidden throughout.